Failure inspires future fashion. I'm a runner, and I run because I love to be outside. In 2005, I was living and working in Hong Kong, and I was needing to check the pollution index every day to see whether it was actually safe to run outside. The pollution being created in southern China was coming across to Hong Kong, and it was creating this choking effect that wasn't good for any of us. At the time, I was leading innovation for Nike in Asia, and it made me think that I was making better things, but with the pollution problem that we had in Hong Kong, it made me think a lot more about how we could make better things, but in a less impactful way. What that meant to me was how we could actually make clothing, make product, and think about water. For example, how much clean water was used into the manufacture of a product, and also how much dirty or how much polluted water actually went back into the waste streams when we finished with it. It also got me thinking about waste, how much waste we were actually creating with resources that we were using and putting into the production. From a social element, it was about the people that were manufacturing these products for us, the communities they lived in, and the countries as well. From a chemistry point of view, about the toxic chemicals that we were actually putting into product. And finally, from a carbon point of view, how much energy we were using in the manufacture and how much carbon we were releasing back into the environment. That's an awful lot to cover today, so in the few minutes that I've got, I'm going to focus on just a couple of those. The first being water, which is going to be our next global crisis after oil. We use approximately 2,700 litres of water purely to grow the cotton that we use to manufacture just one t-shirt. But that's really hard to comprehend what that actually means. We're here in the UK today, and most of that manufacturing is happening in other parts of the world. If we home in a little bit further, here in the Colston Hall today, we have 1,000 people in the audience. Earlier on, I was sitting upstairs in the balcony, and I was really looking around me at the capacity that we've actually got in this hall, because for the last few weeks, I've been doing maths and trying to work out what that 2,700 litres actually equates to. And I was asking around friends, and it's quite probable that each one of us here today could own 8 t-shirts. And if we think back to how much water is used in the growing of the cotton for those t-shirts, it would actually fill to capacity this hall today. So just take a moment to look back, look forwards, look up and down. That is a phenomenal amount of water. And to me, that is true failure. That is a failure in the industry when we think about the countries in which we're growing that cotton. A lot of them are actually water scarce themselves. But for me, failure is something that we can actually learn on. We can really look at the failure to inspire the future. And for me, that's looking at ways that we can actually grow and manufacture cotton in different ways, but also more excitingly, looking at emerging fibers, whether that's a fiber that's come from something like algae or seaweed or fungi, or for example here, got a lovely pair of jeans which you wouldn't actually see as different from anything else on the market, and they've been manufactured using stinging nettles. So it just makes you think a little bit differently about how those failures can inspire the future. 20% of industrial freshwater pollution comes from textile treatment and dyeing, and that is a shocking figure. But again, how can that inspire us into the future? We can actually dye fabrics using a new technology, using carbon dioxide, and it doesn't contribute to freshwater pollution at all, as it uses 0 water. And this is an example of a t-shirt that has been dyed using that technology, and we're going to see a lot more of this going forwards. So we spoke about water, and we're just going to touch briefly on waste. Every 5 minutes in the UK, 3 tons of clothing waste is being sent to landfill. That's a huge amount of waste. I would have loved to have got 3 tons of waste on the stage here today. But even with a busy team of people behind the scenes, we've got a pile of waste here that equates to 1 minute of waste that goes to landfill in the UK. So just think for a moment about what that actually means to you and the amount of product that you're getting rid of. But again, the light at the end of the tunnel for this one is we can look to a future where things change. In the future, our resources, because they're so valuable, are going to be going towards food. And we're going to be needing to look at new resources to actually keep the clothing industry going. We'll be able to utilize waste, such as this beside me here, to go back into new product in a closed-loop cycle. So you can see there's a huge amount that we as the industry are actually doing. We're looking at new technologies, we're looking at new processes and concepts that really actually inspire change in the way that we're actually manufacturing clothing. But this is about a collaboration between you, the consumer, and us, the industry. And it's only going to work if we come together. So as you go off after today's event and you start going back into the stores and looking at product, I really ask you to take this message with you. And as you're making purchases, actually consume consciously. Thank you very much.